So have these piled out, partitions at 8 feet wide, super important when you're having, you know, up to 15, 20 juniors at a time. Want to make sure everybody's safe. So there's your kind of baseline setup, 8-foot partitions, everybody's got tennis balls. We have that here, and then on the other side, you'll see that momentarily. Let's kind of talk about this sort of initial array of targeting. Here's really the developing theory, not that it's a surprise to anybody. I'll go over this airplane here. You need a combination of two things. One, you need general high novelty targeting. Junior comes in, 3 years old, 5 years old, 9 years old, give them something to hit at. So we, I think, have done a really great job in this particular activation. Drano, which, let's just bring this in and chat Drano really quickly. Coaches that are receiving this piece, you're gonna see this threaded bolting, which will be offered on your supply list. This is 4 times 48 times 48 inch Coro board, bolted as such. This is 4 mil hinges, which we call it, which is Velcroed from, Travis, just bring this in here really quick. Velcroed as such, and that sort of cinches your walls together. We've got zinc threaded poling through the side walls, which we slip vertically, the side orientations right there. There'll be more to come on the exact design of the internal piping system, but you're gonna see kind of north, south, east, west, Velcro configuration, piping through, coming out the holes on each side. So that's Drano. Some of you may have seen this game in its kind of fuller game design, where the ball gets spit out and you've got scoring areas. I think what you're going to notice about a lot of event constructions is we're simplifying the loop, the core loop of the game. So in this case, all we're doing is hitting shots and trying to get it to spit out. So just a novelty target, no game construction around it. We don't need to talk too much about freak fighters. Everybody knows this. I will say the one thing that we decided yesterday, if we were to do this again, I would probably have 6, 7, 8 of those, just to have them pre-made, ready to go to swap out. I think the last thing you want to be doing when you're cleaning balls, entertaining, doing the whole song and dance, is to be putting those puzzle pieces together. So I think having multiples of those is a key part of the equation here. Let's talk about house of highlights really quickly. To me, there is just no substitution here. Let's talk about L brackets really quickly. This is 1 inch thick, a couple nails to join the 2 L's, but then just a 10-inch internal metal L that is as secure as it gets. Right here, this is 3/4 of an inch hole auger. You put it on a drill bit, drilled diagonally this way, so that this stays super taut. Then we took just some netting from Amazon, ran this, kind of tucked this underneath, black zip tie. Then we put the netting in between the 2 boards, which are Velcroed, not spined. You can see we've had a couple of these kind of get loose. We tried to duct tape this on the back side. I think for future cases, we'll probably have a little more drape and a little more tape, probably. And then just for extra cleanness, we've come back here and put some 4 mil just to hide the excess netting. As you can tell, these are really beautiful and they work incredibly well. I'll just bring your attention to this really quickly. Little touches, I think, for events, spray painting any kind of exposed wood. I think it just gives it kind of that 1 more degree of pop. I think that's something we've seen this trip that we'll take the time to do going forward. Tiki tirade, let's kind of spin around to this, Trev. So what you're gonna notice, Tiki tirade's a 2-for-1, right? You got decent novelty for knocking them down, that's great. I think if you get the right 2 kids, I don't know, 10, 11, 12-year-old boys, beautiful. So we already have Tiki tirade set up. I'm not gonna exhaust the rules. I think everyone watching this video probably knows them. Scoring zone in the distance, it'll be 1v1 straight up here. So 2-for-1 for Tiki, full game or novelty targeting. Trev coming down here. I think those that have fungal bungle, it's a must. right? It's really very much of the same sort of vein as Freak Fighter. Got that same kind of compelling, easy to grasp idea, kind of this carnival setup. That's a double decker, so to speak. Single decker elevated. I think if you have a 3, 4, 5-year-old just looking for some novelty targeting, this is a must. Right here, coach, Sneaker Wars. Everybody knows that pretty well. I think for me, super critical, not only to have maybe some corralling of the golf balls, but more think about where content's happening. You got parents shooting video, you're shooting video. We've discussed having signage in the back that let's take a pause. Ready? So I think if you can have your Discover Golf, your particular message put on 96 by 48 inch boards behind where content's being shot, really good idea. In the distance here, Sneaker Wars, everybody knows that, don't have to explain that. A couple different ways we've played it this week. You can play it straight up, of course. You can go super light DG weed, just putting balls, maybe bringing the sneakers closer, just fill your board up, very kind of casual loop. Trev, the game we haven't touched on here, which we have played to a T, haven't really simplified it, don't need to. Code breakers. So, I mean, you want to talk about just a superior professional look. To me, this is the gold standard of how we're doing game boards going forward. Code breakers, most of you will be seeing the rules to this game, so I'm not going to exhaust that. I think this is a pretty appropriate spacing out. It makes it difficult for your better players, but still possible for everybody. So I'll just have you refer to kind of the spacing there for future installs for those coaches that are interested. As we're walking over here, you know, what's always interesting about any situation, whether this is a green grass facility, we'll just keep going, Trev, a green grass facility or an event space that you might be working in, the constraints of your environment are always different. We were fortunate enough to have kind of two little patches of grass open to us, so let's talk about how we decided to maximize this space. DG signs again right there, DG sign in the back. Caterpillar Thriller. A lot of coaches are new to this game, getting this game, probably best seen as a set of components. You're going to see here something we keep talking about, which is how modular this game is. Because you've got fastener on each end, you can create any kind of size shape you want. Simple bullseye game. So 1, 3, 6, 10. Very easy traditional turn order, right? You go, I go, first to 21. We're using a Drano leaderboard with some push discs here just to go for a race to 21. I think we could absolutely do acrylic, L bracket, have an X to show progress just to tighten up the professionalism. I think we'll make that adjustment going forward, but wanted to give everybody a sense of this. You'll see in the distance, 2 courts potentially. Always good to give options if you've got maybe some high school kids or some parents, or shoot, maybe some LPGA pros. Maybe you want to play to the hard course versus the easy course. Speaking of easy course, a modified zoology. 5 tracks, 5 animals, really for our wee 2, 3, 4-year-olds. Basically getting them set up right here, hitting a tiny little putt, seeing it hit the animal, and then moving it up the tracker. Really no game loop specifically, just a hit and move. I will say, explaining to the child that they're going to hit and then get a point and have that tracker, as soon as you see their brain kind of pick up that little simple loop, the engagement goes way up. So I think it's the minimal thing you can do to make it feel playful. What we saw at the Corn Ferry with the play boards and the fencing is you saw, I think, longer durations of play. I mean, we're dealing with 3, 4-year-olds on the weekend with parents, having their child hunker down and move the figurines, kind of space out the physical application. you're getting parents hanging around for half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour with that age group. So definitely playboard going forward, but DG Wii set, really, really great. And then of course the GOAT. You know, I think anytime you have two competitive kids, maybe a little bit older, you're going right here. So race lane left, race lane right, two GOATs, rapid fire, hit. Once you hit the first mountain peak, the GOAT moves to that location. As always, coaches, skill appropriate, age appropriate, child appropriate. If you want to play any means of touch, you can. If you want to play fly on only, you can. So modify as is. This is paced out really beautifully. Obviously the fact that, I'll go back to the pacing really quick. What you're going to notice is potentially the first shot, even though the proximity is the closest, obviously the size is small, right? So what I like about this game is the hardest shots in the beginning, the end really closes quickly. You're not getting a lot of that struggle to finish the game, because the mountain in the distance is literally the biggest target that we've ever made. So it paces really beautifully. I'll just put it this way. If you're going to run an event, you're going to run a summer camp, you're going to get people excited about junior golf, this is literally as good as it gets. So it just never ceases to amaze me how good this is in all formats. We're just going to lean on this heavy all day today. So I think that gives everybody a pretty good snapshot plus of all the work that went into this, kind of the theory behind it. Trev, I'll have you zoom out or just pan through one more time. We'll get into some more detail about what we saw this week, marketing efforts for such events, some more nitty-gritty details, but I wanted to give everybody just a really thorough, complete look at our event here in Portland.